Hello, in this video I will show you how to use Docker Compose for running multiple container application. My name is Jasim Zainuddin. I am a full stack JavaScript developer. Welcome to the channel CodeOdyssey. Before starting, if you haven't watched my video about getting started with Docker, please do watch by clicking the link from top right corner. We are going to use Docker Compose for running an application built using React and Node.js. I have created a simple web app for this. Let's go to GitHub and clone the repository into your machine. I will provide this link in the description box so you can also clone it using the same. Click on this drop down button and copy this link and then open terminal. Then type this command git clone and paste the link. This will clone the project into your machine. Now enter ls to see the folders in your folder. So you can see this folder has been created, React Node CRUD Docker. Now let's cd into the folder and then we check what are the files inside. We can see there is one file called docker compose.yml and there is a node backend folder and there is a React app folder. Now we need to set up and run this application. So we will run this command docker compose up. This will download everything required for the application and set up everything within a few minutes. We can also see what is happening after we run docker compose up. It is creating the container for postgres DB, React app and Node server. We are running actually React app and Node server, and we also need a database. That is why we also see postgres DB here. Now this app has been compiled successfully, and here we can see that it says you can now view it in the browser, and if you use this IP in a browser you can see the application. So now the login page has been loaded. This is the interface of our web app. Now let's log in using username test and password test. And this is a user I have already created called testme. Now we can try with a user which doesn't exist. It will give us a validation message. Now let's sign up using a new user. Let's say React user and give some username and password and click on sign up. Will take you inside and we can see the user has been created. We can also edit the name of this user. Let's say React user 1 and save it. Now we can see the name has been changed. We can also delete the user. Let's delete testme. So it has been removed. Now log out and try logging in using the user we have created. This is a basic working application created using React and Node.js with CRUD operations. Let's open the project folder in VS Code and let's see the folders inside it. In the Node backend, we can see an app folder and a Docker file. This Docker file contains the instructions to set up the Node application. I have already posted a video about how to write a Docker file. Now let's go to the React app folder. We can see a Docker file exists here as well. This contains the instructions for setting up the React application. Apart from these two folders, we also have a file called dockercompose.yml. This file contains the instruction for setting up multiple images and containers. We can see there are three different services here: React App, Node Server, and PostgresDB, which is our database. Now we can rename this file name and we can create a new Docker Compose file where we can write the commands because we want to learn everything from scratch. So we create this Docker Compose file. This is the naming convention for a Docker Compose file. First, we are writing the version. This is the version of the Docker we are using for this application, which is 3.8. Then we want to list out the services we are using inside this project. So we know that we have three services. One is React application. So we mentioned React app as the first application. And then we mention Node server as the second service. And we also write the third service, which is the database we are using, PostgresDB. Now for each of the services, we can add certain things. First thing is container name. Here we can specify a name for the container. Then we can add image and specify a name for the image. So I add React app template as the image name. Then we need to specify from which folder we need to build this image. So we specify the folder name for React app. Then we need to set up the port. We have already exposed a port for React app, which is already written inside Docker file. So we map the same port here, 3000 maps to 3000. Now let's go to the folder React app and check what is written inside Docker file. Here we can see the port exposed is 3000. Now let's write the same for Node server. Give a container name, add an image name, then specify the folder for building the image, then specify the port. For Node, we are using port 3001. So let's say 3001 maps to 3001. And we can also check inside the Docker file we exposed 3001. Now we do the same for PostgresDB service. We provide a container name and add an image name, then specify the port. The default port for PostgresDB is 5432, so we map it here. Then we also need to add certain other things. This is called environment variables. This is a set of constants which we are using inside our application. As you see here, these are the credentials we are using to logging into Postgres database. So if we need to pass any constants that we need to use throughout our project, we can specify through environment variable. We can also write a separate .env file for this and specify the path here as well. Now we also specify volumes. Volumes are basically file systems mounted on Docker containers for preserving the data generated by the containers. This allows us to share file systems between the containers easily. We can add a name for the volume and also specify the path of the data. We should also specify that the node server depends on postgres database because we are using postgres database inside node server in the backend. We are also adding some environment variables for node server. These are some constants which are required for the backend related to database. And finally, we need to add the volumes at the end of the file. And we can specify a name for the volumes and we need to leave it as empty. Now open terminal and enter this command for listing all of the running containers. These are the containers which we have created at the beginning of this video. Using this command, we can remove all of them because we want to start everything fresh. We are going to use our new Docker Compose file to run all of the containers. The containers are removed now. Let's check if there are any containers running. It is giving us an empty result. Now if we check the web app again, we can see that it is not running anymore. Now let's execute Docker Compose up again and see if it is working. This time it will be taking from the new file we have created. So we are getting some error. I think it is an indentation problem of the volumes. Because this is not a service, we need to specify it at the beginning. Now let's try again. This time I hope it will work. Okay, we can see that it has started to build the application. We can see the steps mentioned in the Docker file is working here. We can see that Postgres database is downloading, and we can also see that node server is also building. So we can wait for everything to be downloaded, set up and ready. Here we can see that the Postgres database is creating, and now everything has been created successfully. Now we need to wait for some more time to finish the bundle to be ready. And finally we can see that it has been compiled successfully and we can see it in the browser. Now we go back to the browser and refresh the page, and we can see that our app is running perfectly fine. We can create a new user called Code Odyssey, and we can see this user inside here. We can log out and log in with the username we have just created, and we are in. I hope this video was helpful for you. If yes, please do like this video and subscribe to the channel. Thank you for watching. See you next time. Bye.